Hi, this is Helen at Jupiter's Realm, and today I want to have a little look at the upcoming new moon in Virgo, which I think is going to be a really lovely new moon for this month. And it occurs at 21 degrees Virgo on the 15th of September, and that's exact at around 2:39, and that's GMT. So if you're somewhere else in the world, then this might be a different time for you. Now, the new moon always heralds a cycle of new starts, new beginnings, opportunities to reset and refresh, and it's great for starting new goals, new projects, or getting any sort of plans that you've maybe been formulating really off the ground. It's always favoured as well by the sign that it's in and the planetary ruler of that sign. And this month it's going to be hosted by Mercury. And what's lovely is that Mercury is co-present, so it's in its own domicile, but it's also Mercury's exaltation. So this is a really strong Mercury this month. It's a really positive placement, the best place for it in the chart. So Mercury will be working in harmony with and lending helpful support and resources to the new moon for nearly the whole cycle. And it will be infusing it with that steady, practical, grounded energy of Virgo. Now, Mercury will just have been finishing up its retrograde period, as it's going to be stationed in the direct the day before. So this heralds some forward movement after possible delays, setbacks or revisions that you might have had under the retrograde period. So, if you've had to go over documentation or review things, perhaps if you've needed to go over sort of learning or educational things, communications, if you felt sort of delays or setbacks in these kinds of areas, or if there's been some difficulty in making decisions about something. So with Mercury now in the process of turning to go direct, you may feel a renewed sense of productivity and efficiency coming in, and that things are starting to slowly turn around and move forward again, or that you're able to figure out which directions to go in terms of choices and decisions. Now, I say slowly because planets that are stationing to turn direct are moving really slowly, so this won't be something that necessarily happens overnight, but you should feel a sort of gradual sense of forward movement again, and that things are starting to get going. So if you've got any plans or goals you're working on, any new ideas or projects at this time, you may really feel able to set these into motion in a really sort of practical way, so that they're not just ideas that you've had or something you've written down on paper that you're sort of projecting to do in the future, but that you can actually really put that into action. Now, one thing to bear in mind though is that there's still going to be some influence from Neptune, which is in opposition in Pisces. So, Neptune may have been sort of clouding information recently and sort of decision making or direction, and its influence will still be felt into this cycle, and that could bring a little bit of tension between being more rational and grounded or being more intuitive and emotional. So the trick will be kind of sort of how to integrate both rather than giving away wholly to one or the other. But with Mercury so well placed, I think there are going to be opportunities to find what you need to help you make really sort of clear, sound, practical decisions and choices moving forward, whether that's sort of having access to information through communication, or whether that's kind of practical assistance from the world around you in some way. There'll be things there that can sort of help you with this and to sort of maintain that sense of clarity. Now, at the same time, the luminaries are going to be making an exact trine to Uranus, which is at 22 degrees Taurus. So that will bring in a really lovely, helpful surge of inspiration and energy and impetus to get going with this new moon phase, with whatever projects, plans or goals you've got, and to make perhaps new or bold changes even. Perhaps trying to do something in a different way, taking some new approaches, stepping outside your comfort zone even. So it could really feel like a fresh, new and exciting start as we begin this new moon phase. With both the new moon and Uranus being in earth signs, this could signal really sort of making some changes and bringing in new starts, new goals, new projects in a way that's really sort of practical, down to earth, and that will endure over time beyond this new moon phase. So this, coupled with the now forward motion of Mercury hosting this new moon, brings a sense of new sort of direction and purpose, I think. You know, if you've been wanting to brush up on your knowledge or been wanting to learn a new craft, does your work life or daily routines need better organisation to feel more healthy physically and mentally? Do you need to be clearing out, decluttering and generally letting go of what's no longer needed or what works? You know, that's going to be really supported by this new moon and with this influence of Uranus coming through. Another thing that I really like is that in the days just following this new moon, Mercury is going to be also coming out from under the sun's beams. The planets under the beams usually symbolise their light being hidden because they're being overpowered by the light of the sun. And that can point to a bit more of a challenge around sort of the expression of what that planet means, or things being hidden in some ways. But by the 17th, it will have emerged from under the beams. So what may have seemed obscure or hidden recently, especially in the retrograde period, may now be gradually and slowly becoming clearer or coming to light. So previously hidden information may now be more readily available to you. You may be able to tap into a new skill more easily, or there may be some kind of new awareness that might arise. And this may help make tangible and practical progress easier through this cycle. Although that Neptune influence might still make this a little less straightforward than it might otherwise be. So I would just double check the details of whatever you're doing or starting, just to make sure nothing's been overlooked, misinterpreted, you know, just to make sure that you're seeing things as they really are. So to see which area of life this is most likely to affect for you, I've got this table here so you can see, depending on your rising sign, where this new moon is going to fall. So whichever house it falls in, that's most likely to be where you may feel this new moon influence coming through. And this may be more noticeable if you've got planets between 19 and 24 degrees of Virgo. So I hope that's going to be helpful to you this month. Have a great new moon cycle, and I'll talk to you again soon.